family, you're tuning in to the Jimmy Bonds podcast on Illadelphia Radio. Pardon any technical difficulties as we're recording live on the Zoom platform. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
Yeah. Jimmy. Lights, camera, action. Some people thought I quit and I ain't giving satisfaction. From a different era, writing rhymes up on napkins. What you had to say was more important, man, than trapping. Yeah, I'm talking back and speaking of contemporary. Gotta spit.
What's good, family, and welcome to another episode of Jimmy Bonds Podcast on Illadelphia Radio. This episode is sponsored by Major Flavor Catering. I'm your host, Jimmy Bonds, along with my co-host, Ty T. Wow, what's good, Ty? How you feeling?
All good in the neighborhood, JB. Live from the 215.
Live from the 215 with the TV background, all that. Look at it, Ty live and on TV. Yeah. Turn on the TV, homie. Turn on the TV. And I can't forget my other co-host, love you, Miss Lucy. I was gonna say T, but Miss Lucy is here with us, rocking out. Luce, what's up with you, mama? How you doing?
Nothing, like I told you, same. Different day. But we're gonna do it for tonight though.
Listen, and we're gonna do it for tonight as we all do. I can't forget my other co-host, lovely Miss T with the T. She's not here with us today. She always here with us in spirit. Moving right along, friend. Remember, you can call us with your comments or questions at 844-844-1244. Again, that's 844-844-1244. You can also email us at jimmybondspodcast@gmail.com. Again, that's jimmybondspodcast@gmail.com. It's JIMMYBONDS podcast@gmail.com. Also, fam, remember you can follow us on Instagram at Jimmy Bonds Podcast, on Twitter at Podcast Bonds. Make sure you join the Jimmy Bond Podcast Facebook group. Let's join the Facebook group, continue to open dialogue. Moving right along, family. Tonight, we have a topic discussion that I always find fun, and I love to challenge the norms as we always do. So tonight's topic discussion is: can Black people be racist? Can Black people be racist? I mean, that is the thesis of the discussion. But I think more along the lines of there is a notion that Black people can't be racist. There's a notion that because we are, quote unquote, not in the power dynamic, that we can't be racist. And I often beg to differ. And, tonight's discussion, we're going to cover a couple different things, but I thought it would be fun to kick off to kind of get everybody's idea of what they think racism really is. Like, what is racism? First of all, I mean, I think if you're going to ask if Black people can be racist, what is racism? So, Ty, what do you think racism is?
Racism. And that comes down to an individual perspective too. But I mean, racism, I feel as though it's an individual or a group, corporation, company that controls the means of production. And if you can control the means of production, you can dictate to others your authority.
True.
I mean, you can not like somebody. That doesn't make you a racist because you don't like somebody. You just don't like them.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you would have to be able to control the means of production to become a racist. You have the ability to be one.
You do. You
can choose to be one if you want to or not.
And I think that's, yeah. I think everything you said was on point because I think the power dynamic is what people forget when it comes to racism. I think they think racism is more based on just the color of your skin than it is the people that are in positions of power in the system that has been created for us to exist in. That is what creates the racism, not the person itself, not you're racist, I'm a racist, whatever. That's not what it is. It's more about the power dynamic of it all. So Lucy, what do you think? What is racism to you?
I agree with Ty. Like, honestly, people look at it like how you were saying, like, oh, it has to do with your skin or what you look like. It could be, discriminatory, prejudice. Like, that's what racism looks like to me. And I feel like when it comes to Black people, if it's like they're not necessarily, if you're saying that I can't get ahead because of what I look like, oh, you're a racist. But no, it's deeper than that.
It goes much deeper than that. I think people they do that all the time. I can't get ahead because I'm Black. It's like, yeah.
Are you qualified?
Yeah, I think that's what it is. Yeah, I mean that's and let me just get this pre-notion too. This is not a podcast that's about bashing Black people, or is it a podcast to say that we're celebrating white privilege? Like, no, that's not what this is. This is about challenging a thought pattern that is often exists within our community as well as outside our community. So whether you're white, black, or even Asian or Hispanic, and you listen to this podcast, this is really about our understanding of what racism is and why it exists, kind of like in our structure. The definition based on Oxford dictionary is that racism is prejudice or discrimination or antagonism directed against a person or people on the basis of their membership in a particular racial or ethnic group, typically one that is a minority or marginalized. Now, that's Oxford definition. And I mean, I think all of that is racism, but I think what keywords that jumped out in that definition were minority and marginalized. So why that jumped out was because in a lot of aspects, we as Black people think that because we are in a minority, I guess, demographic of the country, we can't, there's no way in the world we can be racist. There's no way we can be racist. No way at all. And I think that doesn't make any sense. You know, like I think all in all, I think individually, like Ty said, I think individually it's about, can that person, no matter what their color, their skin is, can that person be racist? Right? More than on a collective basis, can the whole Black community or the Hispanic community, can they be racist? And it's more geared towards each individual person, as Ty said before. It's about who you are, your experiences, and your thought patterns to say, you know, I'm a racist or I'm not a racist. Now, when I was talking to Lucy about this, like last week or something like that, she mentioned like so many different aspects of Black people being racist. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times they try to shun away from it, you know. I find it in examples of interracial relationships. You know, I find it in examples of, you know, when you get into these Black collectives, people being like, oh, you got good hair. Was your mom white? You know what I mean? Or
remember when we were younger, it'd be like, but you got Indian in you.
Oh, you got Indian in your family? Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I mean, that's racist in itself, right? Yeah, I mean, that's racial discrimination against Indians. Like, so just because they're Indian doesn't mean they're gonna have a particular type of hair, but that's what the notions are. I mean, there's so many, it's not even stereotypes, it's just so many things people have been told about a particular group of people, and that's what sticks with them, even though they don't know anybody that is in that group of, you know, the group of people. I think it has to do with identity. I think it has to also do with people being like, you know, you have these super pro Black people who are kind of activists or socialists in the sense, not socialism, but really they're in the community or in the aspect of the community that think that, you know, the more we boost up Black culture, the less racist we are. You know, and in this country, the more you boost up Black people, the more they're gonna look at you as a racist. You know, instead of looking at it being anti-racist or, you know, not one group of people, a lot of times we feel like if you're not doing quote unquote Black things, then you're not Black, even if you are Black. And that's a form of racism. So if you're the type of person that's like, you know, I like to hang out with my white friends, and you have a group of Black people that's like, why you always hanging out with these white people? That's racist. You know what I'm saying? That's racist. Instead of being like, who are your friends? You know, if your friend is named Richard, you know, Kyle or something like that, you know, instead of Daquan and Tyrone, you know, like, then that in essential, like, if that's what it is, then you're not necessarily, you know, expanding your horizon. You're just sticking to one demographic.
Oh, there's a couple of white guys named Tyrone, man. So there's a couple of white guys. There's a couple of them.
I was talking to Ty earlier. Ty was like, man, I can't eat white bread no more. I can't eat this white bread. I was like, oh, there we go, Ty. See, you're being racist. But that, you know, those are the things that we talk about. So let me ask y'all this though, you know, of what you know through your experiences and kind of how you gone about it. Lucy, let me ask you first. What exactly, I mean, what are some of the things you hear from us in a community that you would kind of signify as being racist?
I would say for me, personal would be interracial dating.
Yeah.
Like it'll be like when I say I don't have any preference, and they're like, well, you would date somebody white, and I'm like, is that a bad thing? Like I'm confused. It'll be those type of comments like, what do you have in common with a white person? What do you mean what I have in common with a person? Like, I'm not going to sit here and say I don't see mother freaking color. I hate when people say that.
Oh,
But
that's the biggest
obviously,
racist statement there
yeah,
is.
I know that you're white. Well, Italian, Italian, Hispanic, Asian. I know that you're a different race than I am. Obviously, I can literally see you.
Yeah.
But I just don't like those type of comments because it's like, what does that mean? Like,
Yeah.
I have to just date within my race. Like, I don't understand that. So that would be my biggest. And then when you point out the hair situation, like I was seeing something where the curly hair, like how do you get like how come your hair is like 4C and 4C is like coarse, a little bit more coily hair, and then some people who have a little bit more finer curls that's a little bit more springy.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, your mama must be this, and it's like, no, her mama black is black. Like black is what you want to quote unquote call it.
Yeah.
She just happens to have hair that's a little bit more finer than yours.
Yeah.
So that would be the more common things that you hear a lot.
And I agree. I mean, you hear that all the time. And I think sometimes not even to separate it in gender, but I think in different aspects, women and men see different types of racism on a daily basis. You know what I mean? Like, so black women gonna see something different based on their hair, their physique, what their body looks like. You know what I mean? That kind of racism there. Now we might see racism based on with us, it might be based on our hair too, but it might be based on like how we talk, our perspectives, where we grew up. Like there's so many different aspects as to those things that jump out. You're like, oh, that's racist. I don't know why people even think like that. Ty, what do you think, man? What were some of the things that you've experienced about, the racism that can we be? Can we be racist?
I think we can only be racist to ourselves, and we show that on a daily basis. Again, I don't think we can be racist to another group of people because, going back to what I previously stated, we don't control the means of production. So we can't deny nobody anything. But we deny ourselves a lot of things by being hateful towards each other.
So do you think it's
like I was saying, like so the question is, can black people be racist?
Yeah.
I would say yes, but only towards other black people.
That's very interesting, Ty.
Because we can't stop Chinese people, the Polish, the French, the Germans, the Dutch. We can't stop no other race or group on this earth from doing whatever they want to do. We can't stop them from doing anything. We can say how much we don't like them. We can make fun of them, but we can't stop them from living their lives and doing what they want to do.
Yeah.
Because again, we don't control the means of production.
Yeah.
But when it comes to ourselves, we hate each other. We're killing each other. We're downing each other. We're pulling each other back. We only do this to each other. We don't do this to no other group of people.
Yeah.
So can black people be racist? Yes, to ourselves. I see it that way. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but that's just how I see it based on my experiences out here in the streets.
So
and the jobs that I go to and the different places that I travel and see. I see it happening towards each other, ourselves, and not towards other people. Just because you don't like somebody doesn't make you a racist.
Yeah.
You just don't like them. You know?
It's true. Lucy, what were you gonna say?
Real quick though. So real quick. When I was working at QVC, they had this racist chef, man, Italian boy, this straight racist. I knew it. He knew it. He had the white chef hat. Everybody else wore like these little black kufi hats. So that showed his superiority and his authority in the kitchen. That I'm the chef. I got this big, tall, white top hat. Yeah. That's why I like being called a chef in the first place. Just working with that type of people.
Yeah.
So it was a big problem in the kitchen because everybody would come to me when there was a problem or issue and not go to his handpicked sous chef, which happened to be a white guy, but I was his handpicked sous chef.
Yeah.
And I had twice as much experience. I knew the kitchen left and right. I could do everything times 10 that he couldn't do, but he was the sous chef. So everybody would still come to me. He didn't like it. He calls a meeting to the kitchen. Everybody's standing there. And he's like, yeah, is there any problems or issues? I want everybody to go to Mike, nobody else. Mike runs this kitchen. And everybody's sitting there like, why is he talking about this, right? And I said to my partner that was next to him, I'm like, yeah, they had me in the office earlier talking about I'm running the kitchen. They don't like it. And so then after everybody left, he stands there and talks to Mike, and I'm standing there too, like, yeah, you run the kitchen. Don't let the prisoners run the don't let the criminals run the prison, is what he said.
Yeah.
He said you can't let the prisoners you can't let the criminals run the prison.
I mean, but that's a form, that's racism.
Yeah. So I'm like, oh, you talking about me then?
Yeah. That's
you basically saying I'm running the kitchen. I'm not trying to run the kitchen. Everybody just comes to me because I know what I'm doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he didn't like it,
Yeah, I mean, but they that's systematic racism right there. That's right. That's the way the system is set up for the hierarchy to be based on the color of your skin. That's the way that thing is set up. That's in jobs and everything. That's the slavery plantation ways. Like, don't let the criminals run the kitchen. Right. Now, obviously, don't let the slaves run the plantation. Okay, obviously that's what it is, right? But I think because.
But Jimmy, he also denied me the opportunity to get the training to be a sous chef for that company. He wouldn't let me do it. So I said to him, listen, why don't you just let me train to do the sous chef job, so that when another job position becomes available within your company at another location, I can apply to it and get it. He denied me on that. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. I had the experience. I was qualified to do the work, but he didn't want me to go through their training program so that I can be accepted to get a job as a sous chef.
Yeah. But based on your experience, you're pretty much saying, like, even from what you said before, that is a everyday occurrence for us. You know what I'm saying? That is something that we deal with on a daily basis, as far as discrimination based on our race and the denial of opportunity to move forward because of the fact of we are who we are. You know what I'm saying? Right. Luce, what were you gonna say? Luce, I didn't mean to cut you off earlier.
No, you ain't coming off. You kind of said what I was saying. Like, it was like the different forms of the race. Like, the systematic was basically exactly what you were saying. Like, I feel like there's the different forms of the racism that we don't also identify as well. But like with Todd's example, I was basically, you already said it for me, Jimmy, it was basically the systematic racism that people be experiencing without even knowing.
And I think what you said is key. Like, there's so many blind spots with it that, and there's blind spots on both sides. There's blind spots with people that are in majority, and I don't mean people that are in power. I mean just the majority people in America, and then the minorities down in America. So we have blind spots. So we think that we can't be racist because we're not in a position of power. However, I think when you make those kind of statements, you're actually shortcoming us as people, and you're giving more power to white people. As you know what I'm saying? Like, you're pretty much saying that you are now breaking down. You're now saying, I give up my authority to be great. You know what I'm saying? I give that up because I can't be great because of these things that are holding me back. And that's true. The systematic system of racism has already been established. Like, we know what that is. But on the flip side of it, Ty, did that make your experience? Did that make you feel like you hate all white people?
No, I don't hate them. I understand their whole philosophy and why they do what they do. I don't have a problem with it, because me and that chef at the time, I knew his position, he knew mine, and we just dealt with each other based on that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
He wasn't trying to hide it from me, and I didn't hide my feelings from him either.
And I mean, as you say that, I mean, now, 2022, like, you can be open and discuss how you feel as a Black person, even if there are repercussions. You can care less sometimes. Like, I don't care. Look, I'm gonna say how I feel. But I mean, I'm looking at it from an objective point of view. That didn't make you hate all white people. Lucy might have had some experiences as well with her job, or some school experience where one white person was discriminatory or racist towards her. But Lucy, did that make you hate all white people?
No, I just hate that particular person.
Right. Like, and I think when we talk about this, and this is we're gonna take a quick break. I think when we talk about this, the biggest thing is when you had those kind of when you look at it from an objective point of view, we are all racist in some way, shape, or form. Anybody try to tell you they're not racist, they lying. We've all had, I guess, prejudices or prejudged notions that make us, feel a certain kind of way about a certain demographic of people, like, period. Like, no matter what it is, like from the Indians, they all work at 7-Eleven. That's what everybody say, right? or you talk about
that was the biggest thing.
you know what I mean? You talk about that,
Mhm.
or you talk about the Latino community and people in the Latino community. They all, in a sense, they all have a bunch of babies. They got a bunch of kids. Like that's one of those things, right? Or you talk about, and even in the African culture, it's they come over here and they take their education and they do this and they do that. It's all prejudices against what it is, and a lot of times that develops a philosophy for us. And I can't base it on the media alone, but I can base it on just how we really, I guess, digest information from what we see. If you see a white person in a position of power all the time, what you gonna think? You know what I'm saying? If you see a person that doesn't look like you always having opportunity, it's gonna make you feel a certain kind of way, like no matter what anybody says. You know what I mean? Even from the Asians in our own community, we might not feel like we're racist towards them, but in a lot of ways we are.
Absolutely, because
Go
from
ahead, go listen.
businesses,
Yeah,
I want to say from businesses, because when you go through like quote unquote hood neighborhoods, you'll see like they're predominantly taking over like the beauty supply stores. They'll have their type of restaurants around there. And subconsciously, we don't realize like, oh, you'll say some remarks like, oh, they taking our money. I don't want to use those terms, but you'll hear people, especially when you see the bodegas, well, we don't call them bodegas, we call them poppy store.
yeah,
It's never really us
yeah,
in those spaces. It's
yeah.
really other groups, and we say stuff and we use terms that we're not supposed to use because they're in our spaces. And that to me is a form of discrimination and it's a form of racism to me.
Yeah, see, that goes back to when I was talking earlier about we don't control the means of production. When she talked about the beauty salon, the beauty stores.
Yeah.
Chinese people, they control that.
Yeah.
They control all of it. If you want hair products, you have to go through them to get it. At some point in time, they were raising the prices on the black beauty products. If it was a black-owned company that had hair care products,
yeah,
it was raising the prices on those products.
Yeah.
And making their products affordable.
Yeah.
They control the means of production so they could be racist towards us by raising the prices because they control it.
They control it.
And that's how they're able to go into a community and take over a community or stores without causing any bloodshed with anybody.
Yeah.
They're able to go into these communities and open up shop. They have their own line of distribution to bring their own products in and they sell it to us.
Okay. So
they basically we've been diminished to nothing but consumers that rely on whatever we consume, we have to get other people.
I mean, and I agree. I agree with you completely, wholeheartedly. So let me ask you this though, Ty. And I'm asking you, the one thing that I want to know is from those experiences, from those frustrations of those people moving in our communities and taking those opportunities that we would like to have as well. Do you think there's a form of racism that develops from our point of view towards these group of people as a collective? Do you think that there are people that we develop these ideals or these prejudices against these people because of the fact that they've taken these positions of power?
Hot salami and bacon, my brother. Yes.
I'm just saying.
But yeah, I mean, you're right, because you start looking at it like, well, how come we can't get this corner store? Or like Lucy was saying, like you just see their stores, but you don't see us in those positions.
Yeah.
You think before the 70s, we had a lot of mom and pop stores.
Yeah.
We had pharmacies. We had these businesses.
Yeah.
But we slowly started selling off to big corporations and companies, and mom and pop was starting to pass away, or they would leave their businesses to the children, and the children wasn't, continuing the tradition of running that business.
Right. Right.
And so other groups just started coming in and just taking.
Yeah.
It was there for the taking. They just came in and took it.
I mean, and that's that. I think that's what I'm getting to. Like, are we racist because we don't have the opportunity?
Or we have
it. And that's my point. If that's, I think we buckle down and give not excuses, but we just make these things, these ideals in our mind. Like, yeah, well, because they have this, I don't like them because they have this opportunity and we don't. And that's, I think that's what I'm trying to get to is the racism based on your natural way of looking at people is a racism based on your frustrations. Because if the racism is based on your frustrations, then you're not angry at the people that have those positions. You're angry at the system that has created those opportunities for them. And that's what I'm saying more than anything else, because even with the Asians in our community or Hispanics in our community, we still got to relate to them. You know what I mean? We still got to see them every day. We still got to talk to them. A lot of times you even find that people within those communities develop crazy relationships. They know each other's family. You know what I mean? They become close. They've known each other. Their kids know each other. I mean, there's times down the line where you might have not a racist, you might have a Asian business in your community, but you know the family who owns that business. Yeah. So in a sense, because you had that relationship, the racism itself is not there. You know what I'm saying? So, and that's really what I'm trying to find out. Are we racist towards the people? Or are we racist towards the system? And
it's the frustration. Is what you said.
Yeah. I mean, that's why I wanted to do this show, because I wanted to kind of question where it's coming from. You know what I mean? Not necessarily being like, yeah, well, we ain't racist because we're in the minority. It's like, yeah, all right, I get it. But at the same time, there's still not a reason to be racist. You know what I mean?
Because other races are in categories of the minority.
Yes.
And they're still persevering. And they're still in our neighborhoods doing what they need to do. And how you said, like, are we not creating those opportunities? To me, you try to say, it's not trying to say an excuse. It is an excuse. Like, I can't say I can't do something because I'm this person, I'm African, I'm Black and white. You can't say that. It differentiates you from others. Like, everybody has the same goal in mind to be successful. It's the difference is, are you going to work for that success? You determine what separates you between the two.
Yeah. And Lucy, that's what I was trying to get to, because I think we just no, you good. No, I'm glad you said it, because that's what we do. We just automatically be like, well, it's against us. Everything is against us. It's against us because I'm Black. And you have already set up the barriers and the brick walls for yourself by having that kind of thought pattern, by thinking that way, having that philosophy. If you feel like you can't get ahead or you can't do something because of the color of your skin, you got to open your mind up a little bit more.
Or try a different path.
Oh, try a different path. Yes. What you gonna say, Lucy?
Because it kind of now makes me think of like Black-owned businesses and having those conversations about like, I have my own business, no one supports it. And I always say, like, I make a conscious effort in my mind. I'm a person who purchased Skims, and that's a Kim Kardashian line. And a lot of people get on me about, your purchase it's a Black-owned this. I'm always like, send it to me and I'll purchase it.
Yeah.
But when I purchase it and it's not good quality, don't expect me to come back and purchase again. Like, I don't mind spending extra money for quality. I don't care about the quantity of it. I care about the quality, because I'm gonna wash it and I'm gonna wear it over and over again. So my thing is like, it kind of gets me like in a place where I'm like, I want to support, and I'm not saying us Black people, because I'm not going to side other groups. They sell some BS too, and I don't buy it. But I feel like when it comes to Black businesses, it's like, but you'll buy it over there, but you're not buying it here. No, if that other race is not showing me quality, I'm not buying it from them either. It's just, I feel like when it comes to us, it's like, it's Black owned, so you got to support. No, I'm sorry, I hate to sound like that, but I'm supporting
no, you on point with that one.
And what is BS. And I feel like a lot of our businesses, I feel like we should promote, but I'm never promoting something that's not up to par, because I feel like that's a reflection of me, because Lucy recommended, and is Lucy recommending some BS? Nope. How bad?
That's what I'm saying. Ty, remember supporting Black business?
We talked about that.
We talk about that. That's always a highlight for us. Like, you cannot put yourself out there with bullshit quality and expect people to support
that's
you.
That's what I wanted to say.
I'm telling you. I'm saying that's exactly what it is. You can't put out bullshit quality and get mad when people don't support you because it's bullshit quality. Like, period. Like, point blank, nothing else said. Like, don't get upset. You know what I'm saying? Like, hold on, we're gonna take a break, because we're gonna dive into this a little bit more on the other segment. Not necessarily talking about just the Black business in itself, because Lucy brought up a very good instance of this type of thing, but I want to dive into on the next segment. I want to dive into talking about us in our community. I think we started on the outside. Now let's go on the inside and talk about what we do within our own communities that make us quote unquote racist, even though they say we're not racist, right? Anyway, family, listen, we're gonna take a quick break. Maybe you call us with your comments or questions at 844-844-1244. Again, it's 844-844-1244. You can also email us at jimmybondspodcast@gmail.com. Again, it's jimmybondspodcast@gmail.com. It's JIMMYBONDS podcast@gmail.com. You'll listen to the Jimmy Bonds Podcast at Illadelphia Radio, the indie station for the indie nation. We'll be right back.
Hey, this is Michael from Abu Dhabi. Listen to the Jimmy Bonds Podcast on Illadelphia Radio.
Welcome back to the Jimmy Bonds Podcast on Illadelphia Radio. We thank you for listening. Remember, family, you can call us at 844-844-1244. Again, it's 844-844-1244. You can also email us at jimmybondspodcast@gmail.com. Again, it's jimmybondspodcast@gmail.com. That's JIMMYBONDS podcast@gmail.com.
And welcome back to Jimmy Bonds Podcast, Illadelphia Radio. Remember, family, you can call us with your comments or questions at 844-844-1244. Again, that's 844-844-1244. You can also email us at jimmybondspodcast@gmail.com. Again, it's jimmybondspodcast@gmail.com. It's JIMMYBONDS podcast@gmail.com. And again, family, we are having a topic discussion of the thesis, can Black people be racist? And before we went to break, Lucy was talking about Black businesses and the quality, the quality that often we succumb to, that we are very much like, yeah, well, you support Black business, support Black business. But if the supporting the Black business mean I have to purchase bullshit, I'm not purchasing it. Whether you Black or you white or you Asian or Hispanic or Indian, if it's crap, I'm not buying it. And don't use being Black as the reason as to why I need to support your business. Okay? That's period. And that's what Lucy was saying, because, and this kind of gears into our this second segment, because in the second segment, I wanted to really talk about how not just what racism within our community, but how we how it holds us back to think the way that we do on certain things. You know what I mean? It doesn't allow us to think outside the box. A lot of times we think inside the box because that's what we're told. You have to think this way. Oh, I'll give you an example. A lot of times you see these black activists that are out there, and everything about them is Black. Everything, from the food they eat to the people they hang out with, to where they go, to what they watch, to just everything about them. And there's nothing wrong with that. But in a sense, you are really minimizing how much other things that are out there for you. You know what I mean? I made a comment back on our Supporting Black Business podcast. I was like, from this moment forward, I'm only supporting Black businesses. I pause on that because I need y'all to understand that I have to retract that statement, because that is a form of me being very isolated. You know what I'm saying? And I think we can't isolate ourselves from what else is out there for us to see. We are human. We are man or woman. In some cases, they use different pronouns: he, she, they, them. We are people and humans first before we identify as a particular race or people. We are people first. And I think as Black people in our community, we don't think like that. We think we Black first. We're Black people first. And that notion itself, I mean, you don't know how you were separating yourself from the rest of the world. Black people only. It's nothing. And listen, there's nothing wrong with being pro-Black. Please don't take that the wrong way. Don't be, Jimmy talk about not being pro-Black. Like, no, I mean, support your culture, love your people, but don't minimize or don't batter people who don't think like that. You know what I'm saying? Don't be like, well, how come you talk white? Well, what the hell is talking white mean anyway? All right, what the hell is talking Black mean? So if
what's up, family? Yeah, I mean, gang.
You know what I mean? Like,
I'm just trying to stay out the way. Yeah, I mean, that's.
I mean, but that's what I'm saying though, Ty. Like, what do you when you do that, you separate yourself in so many ways. Like, okay, you meet a white person, or rather, you meet a black person that speaks a particular way. What do you automatically say to them, or what do you automatically label them as? Oreo, they're Oreo. They're a black person with white inside. I mean, that's kind of crazy. I got a friend who batters me all the time when I talk about dating. She's like, "Yeah, you dated that white girl, right?" I mean, she tells me this all the time. I mean, on a regular basis, like, yo, like, why is that even important? You know what I'm saying? And I'm saying that more in essence because in our community, that is exactly how we think. We are, if you are not pro-black, or if you are not supporting everything that's black, something wrong with you.
But black people always say they pro-black and it's pro this and support this, and they don't even be doing it. So it's just always some bullshit. It's always, because I just don't understand. Like, I'm not going to sit up here and say I support. I'm not going to sit up and say, I'm not going to lie, I have my own racist tendencies. I'm sitting trying to be like politically correct. Forget that. When I walk around and I see a flag at somebody's door, the first thing in my mind I think is a racist. Like, I'm not going to sit here and lie. Like, I have my own tendencies that I need to work on. So for me, when I think of other even groups like Indian, Asian, y'all, we all know there's different prejudged notions of what that group is. So it's just so like crazy to me that sometimes people like, even on my poll, Jimmy, when I said, and it was like, people were debating with me, like, how can we be racist? Like, we're not the majority. I'm like, that means you really don't know what racism is. If you feel as though that the majority is the reason why you can't be a racist, and because of what happened 400 years ago, and like, I feel like the slavery mentality and what says, well, we were captives, so we can't be considered racist. And I'm just like, wow. Like, do you know when we did that whole interview, when y'all did it with me about, first generations, second generations.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I say this to you guys all the time. You know how many times you guys call me African booty scratcher, but Burna Boy, he talking about Evo and Chabot. Y'all can't get enough of it. Yeah. Now, you can't get enough of it now. Yep. But when I was growing up, it was none of that. You guys made me feel like I was shit. Yeah. Like, now I'm supposed to be like, oh, you guys aren't racist. Yes, you were very discriminatory towards me. And I'm not going to lie, me being an African woman, I was discriminatory towards Black people too. Yeah. So I'm not going to sit here and deny that. So when people say they're not a racist, you're a liar.
Yeah. And Lucy, I mean, just from even a post, I would love to know what they were saying. That's kind of debate.
It was crazy. It was crazy to me. It was one comment said, "So you just like white men? You always talking about white men, or you're just saying that because you have foreigner parents." It was all crazy. Not necessarily crazy. It was expected, but it was really crazy when it came from people that you're close to. Yeah. Like, a lot of people that I know personally, they'll make a lot of comments that I should say, you know what, no. And I normally do, but when you keep hearing people say the same thing over and over, at a certain point, you just check out. Like, you just be like, okay, I just know my friend is a racist. Yeah. She's not going to admit it, but she is. So
and I think that's the hardest thing for people. It's hard for Black people to say that they racist. It's hard. They'll be like, no, I'm not racist at all. You cannot call me racist. I don't know why you saying. And then they start making excuses as to why they're not racist, or why you shouldn't think about things the way that you do. I read this article in the Atlantic before it came on, and pretty much the girl was like, they wrote the article was like, we carry around baggage from slavery. We carry around baggage from ancestors 2 centuries ago. We carry it around on top of what we go through on a daily basis. Well, our own personal experiences are. We carry that around. And if you are not carrying it, if you're not holding that boulder on your shoulder, you're not Black enough. You're not. You're like, wait a minute, hold on. So you mean to tell me I have to carry all the baggage of my ancestors and my own personal baggage in order to be Black? Is that what you're telling me? Like, yeah, pretty much that's what they're saying. And that's why even when you talked about the comments you were getting, I mean, people honestly think that Black people can't be racist. And it's like, like, dude, you way off. Like, we are all racist in some way, shape, or form. I can admit that I've been racist in certain aspects. I shouldn't have been, but I was. You know what I mean? And I think if having different people in your life or preferring to do something different other than what the quote unquote normal black person would do, that's racist in itself. You're being racist to your own people. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, Ty, what do you think about what Lucy was saying as far as those comments? Like that's the stuff I love, because I love hearing people's opinions and debating them, because I just think they're wrong. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. She made the point when she was talking about how they were making comments against her. That, to me, that falls under the lines of social engineering. Through social engineering, you can create races or put that image out there of a group of people, and then other people, you know, they base things off of that particular social engineering platform against you or against a particular group of people.
Yeah.
You know, they were making the comments that was negative towards her at first, but then later on, those comments were, okay, they kind of cool because somebody put it in a different perspective and made it seem like it was cool, you know, but initially it was disrespectful, it was discriminatory, and it wasn't looked that way, but it was.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And again, for me, like, I gotta put the disclaimer out there, first of all and foremost. Should have done it at the beginning, but I don't like the term black and I don't like the term African American. I always tell Jimmy this.
Yep.
Even minority, like, these are labels that are given to us.
Yeah.
If you go back and read our history, we didn't write it. Somebody else wrote it for us. We didn't call ourselves black. We didn't call ourselves African Americans. These are racist terms that are applied to us. And then they turn it around and use it against us. And a lot of times where, like Lucy was saying, we're like promoting it and we're like cheerleading it. Black on this, black on that. But black has no meaning in the law whatsoever. There's no land called black. There's no culture called black. If you want to say soul food is black food, go ahead. But I'll be seeing other different cultures eat soul food too. You know, they probably can't cook it like we cook it, but they eat it too.
Yeah.
But there's no nothing on earth that's relatable to black. But we use that to describe ourselves, and we conduct our lives off of the word black. African American was not existent until the 80s. Before that, that term was not used.
No, it wasn't.
Jesse Jackson made it popular when he started running for president. And he said, from this point on, we're going to be called African Americans. And from that point on, that's what it was called. When the Spanish first came over here, they called us Indians. So, Lucy, when you say that comment like, we got some Indian in our family, in our blood, that's because originally that's what they called us when they first came over here. You have the East Indies from the East Indian Company, which is like the over there, like China, the Philippines, those islands over there.
Yeah.
That's called the East Indies. When they came over here, they was like, oh shit, we see the same type of people. So they called it the West Indies because they saw the same type of people that was over in the East Indies.
Yep.
You see what I'm saying? And they just keep applying labels to us to take things from us.
I mean,
African American, Negro, colored, Indian, mulatto. Those are all the labels that they've given us over the years.
And what those labels do is separate us internally.
Yes.
That's what those labels do. Because, like, what would you say, mulatto?
Yeah.
You know, I didn't want to.
You mentioned Oreo.
Right. I mean,
these are all labels that displace
that. I mean, but I didn't want to touch on the. I did want to touch on the colorism aspect, because that is what makes us super racist within our own demographic of people. And if you're not, you know, Ty, I really always appreciate you saying that, because we we identify with these terms.
Yeah, we do.
But they're not necessarily our identity. You know what I'm saying? And I think that it's an odd way how we have been programmed to think that, you know, even on a piece of paper, that's what we are. We're black, right? But like you said, in laws, and when you go to court, they don't be like, black man, you know, Tyrone Washington, he committed a crime. They don't be like, oh, that he's a black man. They just say his name, right? They don't say he's black. He just say his name. So I mean, how we identify, I think a lot of times is the issues that we have within our community. We don't know how to really separate ourselves in terms of just being who we are instead of being like, I'm a black person or I'm an African American. I know those terms are terms. They're not who you are though. And
we use them because that's what we've been taught. I used to use it too. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. Yeah. I used to use them too. Yeah. But you know, as the years went on, I'm starting to do more research, and I'm like, wait a minute, they're labels, you know? And the crazy thing is, even if we call ourselves black, we come from so many different stocks of quote unquote black people that you can't say that there's one type of black person.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
We talked about this before, Jimmy, when starting families. Every time you meet with another person and start a family, that's a whole nother tribe.
Yeah.
It's no longer the same tribe no more, or the same clan. It's different. You know, Clan B done intermingled with Clan C and started a whole different clan.
It's true.
Or tribe. You know,
and I was going to ask you this then. So in saying tribes and different clans, have you ever found that we segregate ourselves on purpose because we don't want to associate with other nationalities and be viewed differently? So if I'm saying what I'm trying to get to is, you don't see a lot of black and white people or even black and other nations. Now I have to identify this so the listener can understand. People of color, shall I say, Ty, right? You don't see a lot of people of color in a whole bunch of white environments, right? And vice versa. You don't see a lot of white people in black and people of color environments. And the separation that's one of the biggest things. But I think that is what makes us, I guess, develop the views to be racist as I would think. I'm just trying to put it together in my mind. Like, that's what I'm thinking. Like, if we're not connecting or talking or communicating, of course we're going to develop racist ideas about another group of people.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? If we're not, if I'm not sitting down having people over my house that are not of the same color as me or hue as me, then I'm going to develop some ideas that are just, they don't work for everybody else. You know what I'm saying? They just work for my group of people. That's who they work for. And I think that's what we've done. In a sense, we have made it so that we sit in this particular realm, and these are our complaints, these are our problems, these are our issues. Even if this other group of people have the same issues and the same complaints and the same frustrations, we make them even more powerful by not, I guess, associating with each other to make it easier. You know what I mean? And I think end of the day, that's what I was trying to find out. Is it that we just feel like, do we just feel like we can't do that? That's like against the law? You know, I feel like that's like black law. That's something we can't do. Like, we can't associate with other nationalities because that's against our culture.
So let me put this question out there then. We yell, we preach, we pump our fists, black owned, black power, right? How would we feel if white people said this is a white owned business?
Yep. Lucy said the same thing. So when I had that conversation, that's exactly what I was trying to say. So
Chinese owned business.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Hot salami and bacon business, my brother. Like, are we going to call them racist?
Absolutely.
Yes, we are.
I think that's where we become racist towards our own selves by saying black owned.
Yep.
So you're saying nobody else is allowed?
Yep.
Or you're not going to accept nothing from nobody else because this is black owned?
Yep.
When there was rioting, people start writing black owned businesses on their business. Like, what's that supposed to mean? Don't mess up mine because it's black owned? No, you're fair game. You see what I'm saying? That black owned don't mean nothing. Fair game. It's a riot going on.
Right. Your business.
That even goes back to the 70s in Philly when they had the Columbia Avenue riots in North Philly.
Yeah.
You know, it's called Columbia Avenue now, but they had the riots back then. Cecil B. Moore Street.
Yeah.
Black owned businesses.
Yeah.
We tore those stores up.
I mean,
those were our own stores, and we tore them up.
And that's what I'm saying though. Like, as much as, damn, Ty, you took it from me. Like, Lucy, what do you think about what Ty was saying? So, Lucy, what do you think about what Ty was saying?
Yo, Ty took it out, like, literally the example I had in my head. I remember when we were talking on the phone like last week, and we were talking. I was like,
man, we were just discussing this topic, and I remember I said I had an example when I was at the workplace. I was working at a staffing company, and I remember this guy. He's a white guy. He was saying something, like I don't know what he was saying, but he was saying something. And one of the girls was like, "Shut your white ass up." And to me, that startled me. Like, just like, I don't care who you are. Disrespect is disrespect to me. But I was thinking to myself, in case that man said, "Shut your black ass up." That's when, like, you want to call Al Sharpton, you want to go on Instagram, you want to bring all type of attention and noise because a white person called you black. Like, to me, like, it's not racist to state a fact. If the fact is fact, how is it racist? The color of my skin, I don't think it's black. I think it's chocolate, but I digress. If you say that to me, yes, obviously I look black. So if somebody says, "Hey, you black girl," I feel like, oh, she racist. She said black. Why? Aren't you black?
Yeah.
You got a black-owned business.
Yeah.
But somebody of another race calling you black bothers you. Like, you got to pick a side. Either you want to be proud in your blackness, or you want to pick and choose when you want to be proud in your blackness. So you got to understand, because other races don't know how to deal with black people, because in their eyes, we're so sensitive about everything. And you kind of can't blame them when you are getting offended about stuff that you shouldn't be offended about. You wouldn't get mad if a white person said, "Oh, I'm going to support that black-owned business." You wouldn't get mad then? Nope. But you get mad if he said, "Shut your black ass up," huh? Oh, okay.
But that's what ain't that the truth though? They'd be mad. Or like Ty said, if you were like, this is a white-owned business. Oh, he's racist. Yeah. Like, no, he's white and he owns the business.
But can I ask you guys?
Go ahead, Luz.
Can I ask you guys something? Like, for me, I feel like no matter where you come from, your background, I feel like it's always good to create your own spaces where you're saying, "Hey, I'm African, I'm proud, and I just want this to be an African movement for this particular thing." But I feel like sometimes when you said we carry racism on our backs, we didn't experience it. Let's just cut it out. We didn't experience racism. We weren't hung, we weren't lynched, we weren't anything. Some of you guys, like, I saw something on TikTok, they was like, "Who is Harriet Tubman?" And the black guy said, "A rapper." Like, some of you guys don't even know your history on the racism and segregation, all that about black people, but you want to use that as an example to say, "Oh, white people are holding me to this." No, you don't even know your own history. You can't hold slavery or segregation and all of that on your back when you have no knowledge or experience. Like, our ancestors were jumping off of ships just so they don't have to go through imprisonment of slavery. You don't know that type of pain of taking your own life to do that. And then you want to sit here and say, "Oh, they're racist because they didn't give me a job." Were you qualified? Did you do your resume? Do you have a header? Like, you gotta honestly make things make sense. And that's what really bothers me. And a lot of people on my post would say, "Well, you look at things differently because you dated a white person or you went to school at University of Pittsburgh." That has nothing to do with anything. Those experiences, honestly, going to those different type of schools made me broaden up my horizons to say, like, you know what? I was racist as hell because I was never put in those spaces where I got to know these type of people. I was never really put in spaces where I got to know Asians, Indians, to be completely honest, until I went to University of Pittsburgh. Yep. Now, I see Asians when I go to the beauty supply store. I'm just being honest. I don't really, or when I get my nails done, and I don't want to make stereotype and say that's all they have, but that's the only time I encounter these people. So to call somebody black, my whole assumption of saying this, to call somebody black isn't racist. A fact is a fact. Yeah, it's true. But he said, "Shut your white ass up." I'm sorry, it's a little rant, but that just irritates me sometimes. No, but it's the truth. It is the God honest truth. Like, we don't know who we are, and no, we're this generation is not being lynched. This generation is not jumping off ships. We don't have to go through what our grandparents went through. And the funny thing about it is this: you ever find Italian culture, they love their culture and their history. They come from the old country, quote unquote, whatever. But their generation is not holding on to what the Italians had to go through when they came over here, right? They're not holding on to it. They don't be like, "Well, my great grandma was Italian and she went through hell to get here. So I'm gonna hold on to that for the rest of my life. And this is the reason why I'm not moving ahead." Like, no, like what? Like no.
That's not what they even Asians, like Asians that came over from back in the day, and they came over, they were working on the railroads, whatever. There are no people who were like, yeah, well, because my people worked on the railroads and had to do XYZ, that I'm holding on to it. We're the only ones that hold on to it forever. Even though we didn't experience it individually, we still hold on to it. Like, yo, I can't get ahead because I'm black. Like, okay, all right, like, stop. Like, we just hold on to everything. We hold on to
slave narratives.
And
The slave
wrong.
Narratives.
Those slave narratives are wrong, Todd. They're wrong.
I know, but other groups of people don't have them. We're the only group that have slave narratives.
Yeah, we are.
Like, again, you said the Chinese people who came over here, some of them were brought over here too.
Yeah, they were.
But they're not saying, they had us in chains working on the railroads and, Chinese slavery day. They don't have that type of stuff.
No, they don't.
But we celebrate that type of stuff.
We do.
Juneteenth, all that stuff. We celebrate it, and then they're constantly putting out slave type movies, like as a reminder. Hey, remember you was a slave? I want you to remember that. And here's this movie right here that we're bringing out. And I don't fault the people in power for doing it. I fault the actors that are actually taking those roles and acting it out. Like, why do you keep doing that? Why do you keep portraying yourself as a slave? Like, that's going to make us better.
And I don't like watching those movies no more. I used to watch them. I don't like watching them, because even though you're trying to tell a historic story, or you're trying to pay homage to, give somebody flowers that have passed away, that was an icon within our culture, even though you're trying to do that, and that's the objective and the goal. Like, I don't want to keep reliving slavery.
Right.
Okay. Not that I'm trying to take it out of schools and not educate my kids on it. I don't want to keep reliving it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I don't think that's healthy. I just don't.
So I'm gonna ask y'all this, right? So with the slave narratives, the government passed an act, as you can say, back in the 60s. It was back in the 60s. The U.S. government, they passed the act. And what they did was they allowed certain authors or writers to write slave narratives. So before the 60s, there really wasn't too many slave narrative books out there. It wasn't until the 60s moving forward that a lot of authors started writing about these so-called people that was in slavery.
Yeah.
It caught me because when I was reading on Nat Turner, I thought he was an actual person that existed. Now, if this is racist or not, I don't know. Let me know. So in the slave story of Nat Turner, he's supposed to be this brother that was rebellious, but fell in love with a Caucasian woman. He murdered all these people, and then they caught him. Now, if you read his book, as they say, but it wasn't his book, his autobiography, a Caucasian man wrote it in the 60s. In order for him to get it published, he went through his lawyer. The lawyer's name is the same person that supposedly interviews Nat Turner while he's in prison almost 100 years ago. You won't notice unless you read the book and look at the front cover. It says the Confessions of Nat Turner. It gives you the author's name. When you research man, I should have just had this information ready, but I didn't think I would be talking about this. But the author got his lawyer to publish the book for him. And the lawyer is the one that supposedly interviews Nat Turner. That's the slave narrative. They made that up. I have to go to Harriet Tubman because that is a really key figure in the slave narrative. Again, you got to read her story. Just read it one time. You'll be like, yo, why they effing around with me like this, man? That's what you're going to say. Harriet Tubman, again, was supposedly born in slavery in Maryland, no education, right? Supposedly the slave master was mad at somebody else, threw an iron brick or whatever and hit her in the head and cracked her skull. So she walked around for 2 or 3 weeks with a cracked open skull and then laid down because she felt dizzy. She turns around, she becomes a train conductor on an underground railroad with no experience, how to run a train whatsoever, with a cracked skull, no education, and she helped free people. You got to read the story again. These are slave narratives. Even our man Freddie, Hustler Freddie Douglass. That is another slave narrative. If you read their stories, they all have characters. They all were born in Maryland, around that area, and they all have slave masters. They were illiterate, no education, but yet they became freedom fighters, or activists.
Yeah.
And that was to give us a hope or a false hope that we can fight ourselves or work our way out of our struggles and predicaments, like Nat Turner did, like Frederick Douglass and Harriet Tubman. It's so bad with Harriet Tubman that they put a statue down at City Hall with Harriet Tubman.
Yeah.
The lady never existed. It's a slave narrative. It's a story.
I mean,
and we actually believe it. I believed it at one point myself until I actually started reading their books that was written by the authors.
Yeah.
And then I said, well, who are these authors? And then you research the authors and you find out that they work for these different publishing companies, some of them for educational purposes. They write stories for educational books, but they were commissioned to write slave narratives to keep us in a position of thinking that we was in chains, we was being whipped, when that really wasn't the case in North America. That might have been the case in
South America, Caribbean,
certain parts of Africa, because the British and the Dutch went in heavy in Africa.
They were,
and that was their practice.
There were.
But over here, it was a different challenge because they fought. They came up against a lot of resistance over here.
Yeah,
so it's a little different.
You
know. Yeah.
No, I was gonna say, you bring, of course, you always bringing up points of research, doctor research time. You always got some knowledge for us, man. And I think most people don't know enough about their culture to even be pro-black.
Because we didn't write it.
We didn't. But not even write it. But even if we didn't write it, they don't. Even if this is what they're told in the narratives that they're given, they don't do enough. Not even research, but have enough knowledge to put two and two together to say, okay, this is the way things happen. You know what I mean? It's probably gonna be people up in arms talking about, what you talking about Harriet Tubman don't exist? How you gonna say Harriet Tubman don't exist? How you gonna say Frederick Douglass such and such? But the fact of the matter is that if you research it and you research Frederick Douglass, you're gonna learn a lot more about the narratives that were written about us. Yeah. And so in saying that, we moving fast forward 2022, the narratives are still being written about us. They're still being written about us. There's still narratives about us, and we believe these narratives, which is why we quote unquote pick up these type of attitudes towards people who don't believe in the narratives, right? Like Lucy. That's why Lucy had people contesting her about her post, like, oh, black people can't be racist. They can, and they are. Just like anybody else, they can and they are. Point blank, no question about it. No sugarcoating it. We are racist. Anybody tell you they're not, they're lying. So, I mean, all in all, I think if you wanted to come up with a solution, I would say educate yourself, right? As simple as that sounds too simple for some people because we are so bogged down with our own, I guess, understanding about certain things. You talk about what your parents tell you. What your parents tell you, that's what you're taught, or what you might read on the internet or whatever. Like that's what you know. It's not about just educating yourself. It's about challenging the notions that we are given. That's what it's about. If you want to talk about can black people be racist, let's challenge that notion. Can we? Yes. Yes, we can. Lucy, what do you think, Lucy?
No, I agree. Like I feel like for me would be accepting the fact that you have to accept it in order for you to educate yourself. You can read things and you can try to understand it, but if you don't accept something about yourself, that you're never going to change. No matter what you read and study and try to learn to accept, you have to accept that, yes, I have racist tendencies. I've said this. I never realized me saying that is considered as a racist. And then change the notion of like educating yourself to do better. Do I think will it ever change? Absolutely not. I don't think it would change if I'm being completely honest, but I feel like we can work on how we approach situations a little bit better.
Listen.
All right, so listen, right? So on being a racist, is that an action or just by saying something makes you a racist, or it requires an action?
Listen, I would think it's like this. If I have an issue with this particular person, this particular person is of a different race.
Right.
Then and I equate it to all white people. Like here's the notion or the comment they might make, I can't stand my boss. You know how these white people are. That's racist. That's the
You're
action.
not categorizing this that one person. You're just saying, oh,
All
they do
people. Yep. All people are racist. You know, or the or even the Karen slogan, as I talked about before. They can be black Karens. What you talking about? They you ain't never seen a black person or a black woman in the store tripping? You ain't never seen it? For real? You know, they call it white privilege, but it's plenty of us that have tripped out on situations that we shouldn't have tripped out on, and they don't get no names. You know what I'm saying? They just be whoever it is. You know, I just never black woman upset. Or, you know, they always frustrated. You know what I mean? Like we don't separate things. We put everything in one bucket. This is the bucket for white people. It's a bucket for Asians, a bucket for people of color. This is a bucket. And you just throw it all in buckets. And if you feel like that you're not racist, putting people in buckets makes you racist already. You know, I mean, and that's just the way I see it. I'm not saying that's the way the team sees it. I'm saying that's the way I see it. You got to separate it. We're all human. We're all people. We all make mistakes. We all have our preconceived notions. We all are prejudiced. And you can say you're not, but we all are. All right. I had a friend come over, and I think this was the first time my daughter had ever met one of my white friends. Right. And that was the first thing that she said to her mom when she told her mom that my friend came to visit. She was like, you know, oh, daddy had a friend come over, and you know she was white. And it was like, it made me think to myself, like, I was never raised like that. You know what I'm saying? But because of the things that are separated, or how we kind of orchestrate stuff, that's kind of how it is. When my daughter goes to camp, all the kids she goes to camp with, the majority of them, I'm gonna say 90% are black.
Right.
You know, as a youngster, I was exposed to white people, so I had a different relationship with it than not being exposed, right? And I find it vital that you, as a person, as an individual, you have to expose yourself. Lucy said it before. You have to expose yourself to different things in order to open your mind about different cultures. Because if you don't, then you can't relate to your neighbor. And I mean your neighbor because you might live in a neighborhood, you might have some money, live in a house, and your neighbor might be Indian on one side, your neighbor might be Hispanic on the other side. And if you don't have anything you can relate to them with, then you're just blocking yourself from really understanding how to exist in this world. Because if you exist in one vacuum, the black vacuum, you always gonna feel like you up against the battlefield. Always. Because you're gonna be fighting against your black people that are in your community, as well as fighting against the people that are outside your community, because that's the ideas that you have kind of been raised on. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I can go on forever about this, because it's not about trying to beat down black people for having racist tendencies. That's not what it's about. It's about getting people to open their minds, open their paradigms, and think differently about how they're thinking about different things. And that's what it's about to me. You know what I mean? Lucy, I'm gonna let you go ahead and say what you're gonna say. You know, we're gonna end it out. So Lucy, what do you feel about, like, the solution should be?
I feel like we just need exactly what we just talked about, exposure. Like, I can't really get mad at any group for having their pre-notions of another group. It's all about, like, if somebody says something to me in my culture and I feel like, yes, what they ask me is offensive, it's my job to educate it, to correct. I can't get mad at somebody who's ignorant. You don't know, so I have to educate you. So you don't make that mistake again, and you're in another group and you do it again, they may not be as nice as me. They may beat you up, like, just being honest. So I just feel like it's our responsibility. If you see something that is being asked of you and it's incorrect, if a white person say, why do you wear your hair like this? Or at my job, like, oh, I like when you wear your hair straight. Why is that? And, you know, some people get uncomfortable. Oh, because no, you don't understand braids and all this other stuff. I'm going to tell you why. Just so your white mind, your Indian mind, your Asian mind, why you don't understand why I wear it like this, you understand. So you don't go to somebody else.
Yeah.
That girl might.
Yeah, she might let you know.
So that's, for me, it would be the solution. It's like, don't be mad, just educate.
And I can dig it. Ty, how you feel, man?
I mean, I go with what I first said. If we can control the means of production, it will eliminate a lot of things against us.
And I have to. That's what I have to really say. Like,
we don't control nothing.
We
so
don't.
We have to take everybody else's punches, and either punch back or just accept it, because we don't control anything.
I think we minimize ourselves.
Yeah, I mean,
I think we diminish who we really are.
You'd be surprised how many Black engineers are out there. Okay,
Yeah.
We have a lot of engineers out there, but they've been educated, trained, programmed, and conditioned to work for big companies and corporations instead of helping build a community. So you don't see those type of men or women in the community building a community using today's engineering technologies. Same thing with the IT people. You don't really see them in the community building IT shops for the kids. They're usually working for big corporations, keeping the big corporations afloat.
Yeah.
So again, if we can take those type of people and refocus their attention and direction towards the community and the people, we can probably eliminate half of what we call racism right now. Probably most of it.
That's so true, because those corporations that you're talking about, Ty, that hires us, they be making them millions. Just say we separated ourselves and took our brains and made our own firms and made our own lane. Exactly. Oh my gosh. We are, like we always say, we are the blueprint. We just got to be strong enough to create those spaces for ourselves.
True. And again, these corporations, they use what the Chinese use. It's called the art of war. So believe they know who the intelligent Black people are. They know who the genius are. If they watching them from elementary on up to high school into college, they're keeping track of these people. And then as soon as they're ready, they grab them. Come work for my company right here. I'll pay you $100,000 off the top with a bonus, a golden parachute, all that stuff. And you work for my company. They know the geniuses and they're going after those geniuses. We don't get the geniuses.
You know what happens? I was gonna say, you know what happens too, Ty? You know what those people do? This is why this is racist. What do people do who get those kind of jobs? What do? They move.
Yeah, I'm about to say they move,
They move. They don't move. They don't come live around their own people neighborhoods. What do? They
move in the cul-de-sacs.
Right. Right. And one of the, and just the action and behavior itself, it says, I don't want to be around Black people.
Why? Well, why is that? Why do they do that though? Like, why? Why you don't want to be around Black people?
Ty?
You see what I'm saying?
Ty? Look, just like Lucy said, I believe in quality. You know what I'm saying? Like
a quality of living,
quality of life, quality of living. Like, cause if you hang around, if you live around a bunch of
go ahead, say it.
If you live around a bunch of niggas, like you already know. You already know, yo.
Show me your friends, I'll show you your future. So.
Lucy said, show me your friends and I'll show you your future.
Right, yes.
That is exactly the truth. They say you're only as good as the 5 people you have around you. And if you're not surrounding yourself with a group of people from different backgrounds, you are limiting your future. You know, and that's not to be like, you know, because a lot of times people be like, you know, you downgrading Black people. Why you degrading Black people? What's wrong with that? Like, no, bro. Like, you have to expand. You have to, because that's the first thing we do. When we grew up, if we grew up in our neighborhoods, the first thing we do is get some money and do what? Move.
Yeah.
We out. Peace.
That's true, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the first thing we do. And you know, and then what happens is you might have some Black kids or something, or some mixed kids when you move away, and they go to these predominantly white schools, and then your kids end up being discriminated against. The kids end up being you know, exposed to racism because of who and where they are. You know what I mean? And I think that's the biggest thing about it. We don't want to separate. We don't want to separate who we are. We want to just make sure that we hold on to our chains and our whips And that's what's most important, that we celebrate our oppression instead of looking forward to our victories in the future. And I think that's the biggest thing. So if you ask yourself, black people racist, yeah, pretty much.
That's racist too. Chains and whips. We're now we rock chains and we push whips, right?
Yeah, that's what we do. That's what we do. Chains and whips.
Chains and whips.
And I mean, all them boys walk around with the ice and the jewels, the chains.
They dripping.
They dripping. They dripping it. And back in the day, them.
Why is it only us that do that though? Y'all, you have some.
No,
you have other groups that they want to join our culture, our hip hop culture, so they'll try to do it.
That's not culture.
But with us, we just feel like
that's not culture. That's not culture. There's nothing culture about wearing a chain.
You're right. Yeah.
There's no culture in that. There's no.
Well, I'm talking about the hip hop culture.
There's no even in the hip hop culture. There's no culture in that. That's just people defining that's the culture. As Lucy tells me, we do it for the culture. That's not culture. That's just some dude buying a chain or driving a fancy. Right, flashy. That's all that is. That's not culture. Our culture is so much deeper than just chains and cars. Like what? And thick ass women in the passenger seat. That it is. Our culture is so different. It's not. And when I see it, I'll be like, "Yo, stop saying that. Do it for the culture. Shut up. Shut up. You being racist too. Do it for the culture. Your culture. Your culture ain't like that. That ain't the way your culture exists, bro. You don't wake up. The majority of people, black people that look like you, don't wake up in the morning and throw their chain on. They don't. And if they had a lot of money, and you always talk about white people, if they had a lot of money, you wouldn't know about it. That would be the point of it. Don't be a target. But we like to make ourselves targets. We like to grab attention and then get upset when the attention comes to us. You know what I'm saying? Why you got robbed, bro? Why they rob you? I was wearing my chain.
Yeah, Gucci, Louis Vuitton belt.
Right. You know what I'm saying? I was wearing all my stuff. They was hating. No, nigga, they wanted to eat.
Didn't the pastor get robbed recently or whatever?
Listen. So before we end it, I gotta tell this story crazy. So I'm reading this story. This pastor on a Sunday, giving his sermon, iced out, jeweled out. His wife, iced out, jeweled out. Some brothers run up to the church during his sermon, put guns on him and his wife, and take close to $1 million in jewelry. In the middle of yo. Lucy said insurance fraud. I have to agree with you. He next thing you know, he on TikTok or Instagram talking about, we can't treat our people like this. It's not the way, like, bro.
Because why didn't they rob the congregation? Why would they just rob two people? If I'm going to rob, if I'm a thief, I'm taking everybody. I'm
taking collection plates and the whole church getting run down, right? But apparently this pastor was very much on social media.
Mm-hmm. Red flag.
Yep. Iced out, jeweled out. And so was his wife. And this is 2022. People still coming off.
$400K in jewelry. That's really interesting to me too.
I mean, but that was his thing though, and I mean, we got to get into the black churches thing and talk about that at some point, because that's a whole nother topic. Black churches, there's such a love-hate for me with black churches. I have a love-hate relationship with them. I despise them. Not that I'm anti-Christian or anything like that. I'm far from that. But oh man, like the representation of us and what we look like. Are you kidding me? I can't say that. I can't say that what they do is racist themselves, because they play on black people's shortcomings or people of color shortcomings. They play on that for profit. As much as you say churches are nonprofits, they're profiteers. They're just selling quote unquote God. That's what they're selling. And your religion and your heart and your soul. And they're selling that to you to tell you to bring me money so I can keep this shenanigan going. You know what I'm saying?
Preying on your desperation. Like, people have nothing but hope. So of course they're going to tax you on it, because they know that you're desperate for a blessing.
All the time. And as Ty would say, people with no hope are very dangerous.
Yeah.
As you can see, them brothers who robbed him, had no hope.
The hope.
And they're very dangerous. So I'm just telling you.
That's some bars right there.
I'm just saying, and you gotta laugh. But you know, I'm gonna end this podcast because we going forever about this. But to my people who I love dearly, who look like me, who might not talk like me, who might not have the same background as I do, I pray that you are able to expose your mind, or what they say, open your paradigm to some new experiences and some new things in your life, to make you not feel like you have to diminish who you are to get ahead in life. Racism is not a thing that was done by you or the people that are around you. It's built in the policies of this country. It's built in the laws of this country. It's built within the fabric of our society. And I ask you, just employ yourself to think differently about who you are, who you're talking to, and why everybody has feelings and emotions. You might not think that you calling a white person a cracker is offensive, but it is. You might not think that calling a Hispanic person a spick, you might not think that that's hurtful, but it is. And just because your color of your skin doesn't allow you the green light to be racist or to be a bigot or to be somebody that's inconsiderate of other people's feelings. We're all human. We all feel some kind of way. And you never know, your experiences may help somebody else down the line. And your experiences may also pay dividends for your future. So I pray that you just find a way to think differently about it. Black people can be racist. Asian people can be racist. Hispanic people can be racist. And we know white people can be racist. That's what we see. That's what the media portrays all the time. White person do something wrong, oh, they gonna let them have it. They gonna cancel them out of culture. Black person, they can't be racist. It's all right. And that's not a good way to think about it. So, on that note, I want to thank the team for also giving all their input and their insight and their experience is definitely duly noted. And it's definitely one of the things that you just can't take away. Our experiences make up who we are. Our experiences develop our philosophies. Our experiences really play on who we are emotionally. So I just ask everyone just to think differently about it. Don't get mad at Lucy because she asking these questions. Don't get mad at her and try to debate her. Talk to her. Find out why she feels that way. Find out what experiences she had that maybe you didn't, that makes her think differently than what you do. And you don't downgrade or diminish people because they feel like opening their life is stopping them from being quote unquote Black. So that's my soliloquy. That's my dialogue. That's what I feel about a family. Love each other. We're all human. We're human before we are any color that they give us or any identity that they say we are. We are people. Man, women, child, children, whatever. We're people. We got to love each other that way. That's all I got to say. Lucy, what you want to say to the people before we go?
I just add on to what you just said. At the end of the day, we all bleed the same. So we take it from there. Like, it's nothing we can do different, but literally just be aware of what we're doing to each other.
Ty, how you feel, bro?
Yeah, same thing the two of you just mentioned. We're all human. It's going to be that way.
I feel you. But family, on that note, we're going to end the show right here. Remember, you call us with your comments and questions at 844-844-1244. Again, that's 844-844-1244. You can also email us at jimmybondspodcast@gmail.com. Again, that's jimmybondspodcast@gmail.com. It's JIMMYBONDS podcast@gmail.com. And family, remember, we're still in the COVID-19 pandemic, even though Ty's like, this is just the pandemic. and there are
monkeypox.
There's about to say there's monkeypox out there right now. I think polio's coming. Lucy got her mask up. Polio's coming back, but
they got the whooping cough vaccination out now.
They got it's everything's coming out. But even though
somebody try to touch me, I'm like, ooh.
we have conversations behind glass doors. I got my box, you got your box. Hey, how are you? But even though we're in this situation, family, it's still out here. Protect yourself, take care of your family, wear your mask, wash your hands, practice social distancing. Also, remember to love your friends and family because you never know when you might get another opportunity. Family, that's gonna wrap the show. For Lucy, Brother Ty, Sister T, Jimmy Bond's podcast, Illadelphia Radio. We out. Peace.
Peace. I'm in the back room and I can hear the kids and my son's outside, right? So I hear like these firecrackers going off. At first I thought it was gunshots. I'm like, hold on, the kids outside. So I run downstairs and my son out there throwing these boom,
Yeah.
pow.
Yeah.
I'm like, yo, come here for a minute, man. Come here. So he come in the house. I'm like, let me see those. He had a box. It's called Super Snaps, right? I did a post on it. They're called Super
I
Snaps.
saw them joints. Yeah.
They're similar to those poppers,
Right.
but on the box it says explosives. Read the other side for more information. You turn it over, explosives made in China. Now I'm like, okay. When I was young, I was playing with firecrackers too. My son is 12. He didn't go to nobody's house to get these firecrackers. He brought them off the Jack and Jill ice cream truck. He's 11, right? You see what I'm saying? He's 11. There was an 8-year-old child that did the same thing. Now, these explosives that they selling them, you don't have to light them. You can just throw them, boom, and they explode. Now, my thing is, if they throw it down on the ground where there's maybe a gasoline leak from a car, or whatever, that can spark in the night.
Yeah.
So my thing is, if this is happening where Jack and Jill can sell you a $2 ice cream sandwich and a $5 box of explosives, what are they going to be selling them next? Little handheld BB guns or tasers?
Yeah.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like they're making our kids, or they're trying to condition our kids to accept these things now so that in years to come, it's okay. It's okay to have explosives.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Somebody's going to figure it out, a young kid, and probably put like 2 packs of these things together in a bottle with a wet towel, some gasoline, and throw it. They're going to come up with something from this. But the crazy thing is they're selling off a Jack and Jill ice cream truck. And not only that, he drives around and give out samples to little kids.
Samples of what, the ice cream or the firecrackers? What the hell?
But it's crazy how it's like, you know how you roll somebody in with bait ice cream and then you sneak in the explosives. Yeah. That's crazy.
That's
the box clearly says explosives. I'm like, come on, man. I took them from Dad. I can't get them back. No, you can't get them back, man. And I'm saying to myself, I used to play with firecrackers too, but wait, you brought this off the ice cream truck, man. Yep. Like you and an 8-year-old child brought these.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Yeah, just because we did it in the past don't make it right now.
No, but it's the numbing factor though. They numb you down or dumb you down to accept the things that are fucked up pretty much. You know what I'm saying? Like what was we talking about, Ty? We was talking about like we just the things that are in our environments. We go to stores and we see them, and we see them and we're just like, okay, well that's whatever. But is that right to be in a store? Is it right for them to sell these explosives off of an ice cream truck? No,
they sell them to kids.
Right, or sell it to kids for the matter. I mean, you should have to have an adult for something like to be able to purchase something like that. You should have to have an adult. True. You know, if you can't go see a rated R movie, you shouldn't be able to buy firecrackers off the ice cream truck.
That is insane.
You know what I'm saying? Like, just plain and simple. If you can't drive, if you're not old enough to drive, you shouldn't be old enough to buy explosive off the ice cream truck. That's plain and simple. You know what I'm saying?
I think the thing that got to me was he brought it off the ice cream truck, and then to find out that the ice cream truck man drives around giving out samples of these to little kids,
so they can sell.
I think that's what really got to me the most. You know what I mean?
They can sell them. That's just like drug dealers. What do drug dealers do? They want to test out a new product. They go to the people that do the drugs. Testers, testing, you know what I'm saying? And that's what they do. They test it out, see what it's going to be. And so I guess the kids are the guinea pigs to see if they're going to be a hit.
Yeah.
You know, they might not be selling ice cream like they used to because people ain't coming out their house like that. So they got to do something else. Shit, you can go to the grocery store. You want some ice cream? Like my kids to the ice cream truck all the time. Here all the time. I'm not getting we're not going to the ice cream truck when you can get a whole tub of ice cream for the same price that you're gonna get at the damn ice cream. Like, no, they're gonna charge me $10 for 2 ice cream bars. I can get 3 tubs of ice cream for $10. Like, come on now, cut it out.
You know what, Tom? When you said that about the firecrackers, you think I thought it was gunshots. That's so funny because every time I hear firecrackers, I'm like, oh, they shooting. That's so crazy. It's so normalized. Like, it's like
She said, "Oh, they shooting like not like, oh my God, they shooting."
They shooting. Oh no, that's fine. I
Right.
can't
Yeah.
Yo, that is the worst thing. That is what we think. Like that. That's when I used to live in Southwest. They shooting
Mhm.
again. Oh,
That's- I remember they shot at my property store in Southwest, and I'm like, oh, they just shooting. My friend was there, like that's not normal. And to me, it was normal because you heard it all the time. I couldn't tell between firecrackers or shooting. I said it's one of the two.
and in Southwest, you never know. They always got fireworks going, so
Yeah.
you don't know whether they shooting
All year round now. you know?
all year round. It don't stop.
Crazy.
They put fireworks up for nothing. Like it's just like what's regular
Just
day.
because.
Just because it's
Just
Tuesdays,
because, yeah.
fireworks. You know what I'm saying? So
I mean, I just wanted to mention that because it bothered me the fact that they was able to get it from an ice cream truck and an 8-year-old brought one too. You know what I mean? It just bothered me.
I mean, but and there's so much stuff out there that they sell that they say are for kids, but obviously they're not for kids. They're
Yeah.
not. Explosives or fireworks or firecrackers are not for kids at all. You know what I mean?
Like I said, it's the super snaps today. It's gonna be something else next week.
It is.
I mean, it's coming. I know it is.
It's coming, bro. It's coming. That's why we gotta be due diligent and observe what our kids are doing. You know what I mean? That's why he was like, Dad, I can't get him back, Dad. I can't get him back. No,
Like, no, man, get out of here right now, man. Like, no.
I got a rap for you. I'm done with you, son. Go ahead, son. Go ahead. Go play the game or something. Go chill outside, right? But definitely, y'all. No, it's all good, man. It's definitely all good. How y'all feel like tonight went?
I think it was good. I feel like it just went in its own course and it just flowed organically, honestly.
Yeah. Sometimes you can put structure. I want to structure this out, and it's like, no, you don't need to structure this. It's just a conversation. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I always want to get y'all opinion, like, you know, how you feeling about it and all that kind of stuff, because I just think your input's important all the time. You know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, yeah, man. I'm gonna let y'all go. Look, it's 10:14. I don't know how long the podcast is, but I know it's late, right? I know Lucy gotta get to work. Ty gotta get to work in the morning.
Yeah, gotta go flip them pancakes, man.
I know, man. I know that's what they do, bro. You get off early tomorrow?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. Everybody know I get off early on Thursdays now, man. Everybody know.
Oh, it must be Thursday. Ty ain't here right now.
Yeah.
And Ty, we gotta do. Lucy, gonna put this bug in your ear. Maybe you can think about it. We gotta do a cooking with Chef Ty.
Yeah.
Oh,
episode.
That would be super dope.
It's not even an episode. Something we want to kind of start producing because Ty is a phenomenal chef. I mean, cook. I'm not gonna say chef, but he's phenomenal in the kitchen, right? And you know, just based on the reviews he even gets at the place he works, he need to be doing it like for himself, some kind of way. You know what I mean? So to kind of jumpstart it, he already does catering. That's why you always hear me say major flavor catering. He's doing the catering jobs. So I kind of want us to make it a team thing. You know what I mean? Where we get our people together, we'll go out to the studio. You know, we have a little. You know, Ty said he make like a 3-course meal, 4-course meal maybe.
A Ty showdown.
You know what I mean? Just to be able to go out there and just we can even get dressed up, just make a big deal about it and just have a good time. You know, film Ty while he cooking. We having a conversation at the same time at the table, whatever, you know.
Oh, that's dope.
And just rocking out. So I mean, I'm putting that in the air because I think you got to put it out in existence first, and then make that joint manifest. You know.
Mm-hmm.
So
no doubt.
Yeah, man. Yeah, Luce. Look forward to that, Luce. Look forward to that.
Down in my book.
I know. I feel you. But I'm gonna let y'all go because I know everybody got to get going. I'll talk to y'all soon. Much love. Luce, I'll tell you, I'll probably call both of y'all tomorrow or something like that. All right.
All right. Take care, y'all.
All right, family. Talk to y'all soon. Bye now.
Take care.
All righty.